fans are also now all aware, all of the games are available in-game. You can go and just hit that replay button on the esports tab of any week, any day, any game, and watch from any player's point of view. So if you ever want to learn something from any of these people, that's a great way to do so. But they've had the time, they've been away, they've been looking for their ways to adjust, because they would know they have to go up against this extremely difficult team in the form of Team Heretics.
Well, getting ready to go into the ban line, and ooh, that's different instantly.
Yeah.
Not a Gambit, not an Elsa for the first ban, it's the Jeff instead. So I think this sort of addresses the Team Heretics wanting the Jeff with both potentially the Vanguard Deadpool or the Strategist Deadpool, but that does now mean that Heretics will be able to secure themselves one-sided Gambit, which means that this ban should be Elsa or Loki on the side of Vision.
Yeah, Elsa, of course, with just a huge damage output. Loki with the opportunity to one combo with Mantis if she sneaks through later, but more importantly, double Raging Royal flushes, getting a huge amount of actual aggression to push into your opponents. It's a great thing to remove. That means Vision going to keep with their main priorities that we've been seeing a lot from them, going to be picking up that Elsa Bloodstone in their first protect spot, meaning the Heretics looking to take away the Mantis. They do not want a damage-boosted Elsa.
At some point, we do have to see the Loki ban come through, though, because if Vision actually get their hands on Loki, Heretics won't have one-sided Gambit. They'll have one-sided actual Gambit, Loki copying Gambit's ultimate, which you're not exactly going to want, as they're going to strip away the Invisible Woman. Next, Vision will go for the one-sided Elsa, secure, but that does mean that they have not currently banned Heretics in terms of that Mantis, so Heretics could still play a triple strategist line, as we get the save on the Vanguard Deadpool. Now, Heretics, they get the option here. Like, do you go for the Jeff ban so that you deny the team up from Vision's end? Or do you go for the Loki ban? Or do you look at something like, oh, not the Loki, not the Jeff, CD instead? That's very interesting, because that now means that Vision will get both the Loki and the Jeff and don't have to be out of a ban slot for it.
But it does take away one of the very reliable strategists with the big strategist ultimates in the form of that Cloak and Dagger and the Invisible Woman, leaving, if you want massive reactionary strategist ultimates, you're basically limited to the Jeff AoE Warsaw, which isn't a huge amount of healing over time, but it does still add a little. Loki Greens, which are essentially a strategist ultimate in themselves, and Luna Snow, someone who's not played a lot these days, but does sometimes see play, especially when you're running a Loki, in case you want double strategist ultimates. Very interesting to see here, the Gambit coming through on one side, and there is that Luna being hovered by Kyubi, and White Fox going for that team up, not looking at the Loki at all, at least in the hovers, but we've seen how much hovers can mean when it comes to these early games.
Well, I will say both of these teams have dabbled with the Luna, with the White Fox. Vision actually played it really, really well on Celestial Husk, where they were actually able to fully shut down Gambit, Loki, and Mantis composition, with that being able to put the pressure on the dive. And since we haven't seen Venom being addressed in the ban draft, having that charm to be able to put the extra CC onto both the Venom as well as Daredevil, who also slipped through unnoticed, is going to potentially mean that the backline does not have to have as many resources pulled away from the front line to be able to peel.
Upon Krakoa, both teams getting their hands on that Vanguard Deadpool. Only one team protected so far. Rogue going to get some gameplay in before we start to see those adjustments to crowd control coming up next patch. But both teams currently looking potentially at triple strategists, with Mantis and Ultron being hovered on one side and the other, giving them a little bit of that backline protection. And we are going to see them both roll out on such. No Loki coming in for Vision. They are sticking with that White Fox and Luna team up.
Yeah, Tanuki is going to be playing the Phoenix instead of the Psylocke. So playing from range, but also gaining a lot of value from the 12% damage boost, as well as Enzo. On the Vanguard Deadpool, you can see like all of the stacks currently from Oasis on the Vanguard to try to build up that ultimate as quickly as possible to race out Gainer so that they can slam it on a strategist and go for the elimination early.
They get a lot of damage, being forced to wrap around, but will make his way back to the team. Gets hit by the unicorn shield, but is able to burst through Enzo nice and quickly, building up some experience. Satan picking from a distance, lovely snipe on the backline, and Vision dominate this early fight. Great mobility from Gator to split the team around the Sentinel for Cohen 3 and allow them to take the first fight and get that first percentage. And look at that stagger for Oasis. They know it's doomed, but they're trying to just go down. They're trying to make it to the edge at this point because they've burned so much time on the board.
Oh no, poor Oasis only goes down now. Crucial first fight one for Vision as well. It means that the Ultron can play with a lot more terrain to cover your hitbox, to hide away from the damage that you'll be taking from both the Deadpool as well as the Phoenix poke, and you can actually see Tanuki is the one taking all of that incoming pressure. It also means that Heretics can't just play the stall out, with the Adam having things like Soul Bond to be able to win the first fight before ultimates are in play, and so will have Banhammer, Gainer as well. Heretics can respond with the Soul Bond from the Adam to preserve the strategist survivability though.
Banhammer's traded out onto backlines, trying to look for a little bit of priority. You can see the drone on the Vanguard, Deadpool on the side. Vader takes a huge amount of damage. So much focus being dropped onto them, forcing out the ultimate from Satam with that range of Ultron to try and keep that pressure onto the backline. Oasis has managed to rejoin the team. Beautiful sleep onto Gainer, trying to focus them down into that backline. But all of that Ultron healing is AoE and is doing a lot of work. Vader is still getting focused, but is still tanking through, forcing finally out the Fate of Both Worlds from Kyubi to try and force Heretics off the point. But they just got Raging Roll Flush, and the second that expires, they commit to the counter push, diving into the backline. Naga is deleted off the board here, but Vision are finally going to lose QB. It's a 1-for-1, but Heretics turn it back into a 65 with the revive of Naga.
Oh, that was a crucial heartbreaker coming through from Beetle. Connects onto Rex, so only now do we get the White Fox ult coming through. And unfortunately for Vision, they've already lost both the teammates as well as the point control. So all that does is stall out the elimination a little bit longer. Heretics also have Ensong Inferno. They know that Vision do not have a strategist ult to be able to actually survive it. But what we might see is that Zerx is the one who falls prey to the Phoenix summon, given the fact that it will just delete Glortrox in one go, as opposed to just fading everyone and having your Adam rest them all back.
That's very true. If they can land it effectively, it could be huge. VTRM at the ready for a potential blow-up onto Naga, though, if they can't find a safe position. So it's going to be about who's going to be able to find the safer spot here as Heretics will pull back to the objective. Don't want to get caught out. Just slowing the aggressive push here from Vision as they look for the right angle, making their way up to the high ground to try and push in from here. Using the shield. Here comes the Ensong Inferno. Dropped quite early. Gets picked though. Not able to find anything. Counter Meteor M coming on out, which means Naga kind of has free reign, assuming he can find a good position for that Karmic Survival, which may need to be dropped as Tanuki is taken down early. Will res quickly to get them back into the board, but it's only one person down. Everyone's committed to that backline with that Banhammer from Enzo to try and push on through Rex and finish them off. The healing gap, but it's too good. With the Rage of Ultron for the extra healing commitment. Trying to focus the backline, takes out Beetle, and Heretics, they hold the point for at least a little bit as Vision are forced back into the doorway.
Yeah, they have to use the Elsa ult to try to give themselves a little bit more space. Great freeze coming on through from Kyubi. Sets up the elimination onto Adam, but he's got the self-res. Heretics can absolutely bring him back in the fight if they still want to commit, and given the fact that we have the soul resistance coming through from Oasis, with the team surging forward off of the back of it, they'll absolutely go for that one. As it is going to be Heretics now hitting into OT, and Vision, we can see the desperation, the strange portal attempt from Satam, with players just trying to throw themselves onto the point to stall out the OT long enough for the portal to come through, but they're just not on the point, and Heretics will be able to sweep the first round.
Fantastic neutral there from Heretics. When we saw the ult trades coming on through, Vision seemed to be holding their own fairly well. But the second Heretics were able to get that neutral fight in that lower building, it's like Vision couldn't even step forward, whether it was the choke point or just the individual dueling capabilities. Heretics were able to claim that extremely effectively at the end. Now we look at ult charge, they're at 94% of their way towards that heartbreaker from Beetle, which means if they're able to get there first, they're gonna have an ultimate advantage no matter what, because they'll drain some away from QB.
Yeah, it's easier as well to engage with Rogel as opposed to engaging with Luna, right? Because if you're QB, you're sort of thinking in the back of your head, how close is Tanuki to Ensong Inferno? Do I have to actually like save this? We have to go up against the sustainability of the Adam Soul Bond as well, which you'll have for this first fight. with just like everyone from Heretics also having the potential like damage boost capabilities of the Mantis to neutral to boot, as we're getting a strange TP coming on through from Enzo. I mean, ideally you're just going to try and go to grab the Luna or potentially the White Fox, since you know that they're close enough to ult.
Not going to be able to get QB as they went past, and are they able to get any of the followers? Quick retreat immediately, but that team is split in two. If they can get past their own portal, no, it body blocks! They have to wrap around and go all the way through the other side of the portal to make their way back onto the objective and try to take some advantage, but already Vision have been able to regroup. Here comes the Heartbreaker, freeze for counter number 1, charge for counter number 2, but the damage output is still good. Fate of both worlds will get off in time thanks to the freeze, preventing Beetle from getting onto that Luna just in time. Bad Hammer comes out from Gainer onto the backline, and Beetle is taken out. Enzo falls second, and Vision are about to win their first fight in a row.
Oh, Tanuki uses End Song Inferno too. That is unfortunate on the side of Heretics. They'd lost too many players. I was thinking like maybe you have it to be able to just detonate the White Fox ultimate coming through from Rex, or potentially Xerxes ult, because now yet again you're going to face the same problems that you had on Grove when you lost the first fight. You're running into a setup triple strat line. Rex will have the White Fox ult, so Vision are perfectly okay with just brawling on the point to out-sustain your opponent. And then you have Xerx as well, the moment that we get into close quarters with the Elsa ult ready to rip.
Nice,
oh well,
Beetle.
You had Xerx, now you don't.
Tanuki coming in from the flank, gets caught by the smoke trap, pushing onto Beta though, just landing every single shot. Kumiho comes on out for at least one attempt to the flip here. Vision, a person down, still commit to the fight. Enzo's on the flank, while Naga is just picking away with the hit scan part of that Adam Warlock, able to pick off one, make it two, and they force Vision off the point much quicker this time. Last time Vision got to 70%, this time Heretics forced them off 350.
Yeah, Heretics can choose as well if they want to engage with Gambit. Oh, I think they'll probably actually hold it, since they're the ones in control of the point currently, and they don't really want to force the issue with Gambit ult, because that means that Xerx will be able to come through with the Elsa ult, not worrying about the Purify on cast. Beta could potentially hold the space as well with Demetra M. Much better for Heretics to hold the line, not use ults, force Vision to make the first move, lose players, bring them back with Karmic, and then have the Mantis ult to re-engage.
Onto the point, Vision looking for the opening. Here comes the Raging Royal Flush for the commit, right into the choke point, up the ramp, shield going to be focused down very quickly. Meteor M caught on terrain, will not land, but the blocks from that magnetic curtain are good. Saturn comes up with the Raging Roll, front of the glass rock for the counter, takes down Beetle as Vision looks to commit to the fight, but Naga just around the corner, directly in the line of fire, goes for the revive so that they can keep fighting on the choke point and don't give space over to Vision. Dive back in with the Heartbreaker, and it's heartbroken for Vision as they're pushed off the point and all the way back to spawn.
Ah, QB didn't have Fate of Both Worlds to sustain through Beetle's ult. Heretics in driving seat as well for this next fight. They've still got End Song if Tanuki goes low. He's got the health reset. Oasis with the Soul Resurgence as well, since you didn't even need the Mantis ult to push your position after the res comes through. We've got the Vanguard Deadpool 1v1 happening on the off angle at the moment, as Vision, they could take the portal if they want to. If they go for this long wraparound rotation and lose someone to just damage coming through from Phoenix from far, we're in last fight territory and Vision have no choice but to commit.
Heretics trying to fight them far forward, don't give them the space or the time, and so finally goes off. Healing coming out from QB immediately with the Fate of Both Worlds, because they have to commit to something. The team is a little bit split, but Vision is still committing through the portal to try and make it. Naga's taken out early, but has Cocoon, will make it back in as Soul Resurgence comes out from Oasis. Keep the team up on the fight. Tanuki focusing down, looking for Kiyumi in the backline, finds one of the big healing outputters with both White Fox and Luna down. Vision are stuck with just the drone, and that will not be enough. Heretics force them off the point and take the first map in a 2-0.
Yeah, I think a little bit of a closer fashion in terms of the first round from Grove. Vision being able to win both first fights, however, is a very big surprise given the fact that they're going up against the Adam composition and no dive element to it as well, outside of just like the rogue trying to dive in, create space, get out, while making sure that Tanuki has all of the room to be able to work with on that Phoenix. But when we go back into those neutral setups, especially when you're playing on Cradle, the amount of distance that there is every time Vision have to reapproach that point, you can see it reflected in terms of what Tanuki's able to do that second round compared to the first.
Tanuki did go down a couple times there, only 6 and 4 if you go by final hits. Enzo, on the other hand, was playing a 6 and 2. 6 final hits, 2 fatalities, while getting 60 KOs, only 1 less than Tanuki, and only 1k less damage, showing the power of that Vanguard Deadpool, being able to focus onto the backline, where you can see Kyubi went down 5 times, Rex went down 6. There was so much focus of just trying to remove the healing early in those fights, and a lot of times it did turn out to be extremely effective. We also saw Tanuki making sure that they were targeting the right people, using those hit scans to take people out early in those fights from the backline.
Well, it was a close series, closer than I think a few people expected, but we'll be back with map 2 after this short break.
Talk when you hear a character who is a better solo duelist than Winter Soldier. Storm. Mr. Fantastic. Iron Man. Human Torch. Punisher. Hela. Duelist Deadpool. Psylocke. Jean Grey. Moon Knight.
That's my boy on my life. To this day, whoop anybody's cheeks all day.
As solo
to the moon,
duelist.
all right, to the moon. Yeah, he take 1v6 for all I care. He take 1v11. All he does is 1v3 in his mind. He can take 1v11 in reality. He's got this.
All right, Matsy's been stressing, but still holding out. Wolverine. Elsa Bloodstone.
Okay.
Oh, Wolverine.
Yep.
Why
I was
Wolverine?
thinking too hard, man. I just love the way that the feral leaps can really enable fights in comparison to what you see out of Bucky right now. I don't know, but I mean, in that sense, it's the solo engagements, and I think one of the same. Wolverine with the Last Stand can just absolutely rip and tear anybody. I've seen many a Wolverine just a solo ult. Tons of strategists, or for anyone for that matter. So, yep, I'm locked in on Wolverine. The claws are out.
Talk when you hear a map that is harder to full push than Central Park. Manhattan. Spider Islands. Museum of Contemplation.
Yeah.
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 Ooh.
Yeah.
After today, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That hurt teams today. That was morally crushing for some people.
Doctor Strange got the better of him.
Which bit's the hardest to push?
Man, stay on the point. Stay on the point.
Which bit's the hardest to push?
The final area.
Yeah, I'd say in some ways the first and last part of the map, but more so the last part of the map.
I would say the last 6th specifically.
Yeah.
Because that first section of the 3rd, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, around the corner. But when you're at the end, it's like, there's spawns right there. There's no good line of sight to protect yourself. It's decimation.
How the action's going so far. Team Heretics thrown a couple of curveballs, I think, with like the first band, Jeff, and sort of musical chairs, I suppose, the characters being played. But the Tetra, it just seemed that Heretics managed to sort of win out, and Vision couldn't keep up with the pace that Heretics were trying to set.
Yeah, honestly, Vision, they did well, though. We can't not give them that. They actually won first fight both times and had some really crazy ultras, especially Satam on that Ultron. Those Rage of Ultrons were on point, keeping people alive, but they maybe didn't find as many isolated pickups with it as they maybe were looking for in those longer fights. But it's the neutral, which, with the ult changes from last patch, are so important that you've got to be prepared to win more often. And every time that happened, every time there were fights in the neutral, Heretics seemed to come out on top.
A lot of like built up pressure, I suppose, and I think it's the first time we saw Beetle play Rogue as well, actually. So he's debuted in that. Like, in the Team Heretics jersey, and it felt like that was one of the elements that really kept Vision under. They have chosen to go to Midtown, which is a new choice for them. They have gone for the Yggdrasil before and Shin Shibuya twice, but this is the map where they've won it once, they lost it, they did win against Reason and showed some good moments, I suppose, Moxie, but they're just making sure that Heretics can't run any kind of like divey compositions.
Yeah, you still have to worry about like things like the Daredevil being able to get through, because he's less so about full dive composition, more about being able to mark out your backline, put pressure just by wrapping around flanking, especially if you're trying to run the Adam shenanigans on first. He's really, really good at being able to just take the 1v1 against Adam, win the 1v1 against Adam, force the self-res, and then potentially set up to find the elimination through Comic Revival cast, or even before then. But not surprised that Vision are like going for this element of map that they choose, given the composition that they played on the first round was literally all around we don't want our backline to be diveable. They went for Ultron, who is virtually undiveable by most elements. They also went for the Luna plus the White Fox, so that you have all of those CCs free in total. Luna with the freeze, White Fox with the usual charm off of Spectral Surge, and then with the team up of Mystical Fox Accord, then you also get that second CC coming through from the Luna Snows side. So not a surprise.
There's some characters that you expect to sort of be in more of the draft picture, because I feel like Adam Warlock for Naga there looked really good. Granted, Krakoa is a good map to be running him on, and Oasis sort of forced onto the Mantis instead of the Jeff, as he's usually comfortable with. But I feel on the other side, it's like Zerx, it's again performing well on the Elsa. I think he was 15 and 2, 20k damage done. It's just like those eliminations don't really go too far when you've got Adam on the other side just resurrecting everybody.
I have no complaints about them bringing the Elsa back, though, especially on a map like this, where you've got a nice, clear, long area right at the start where you can just get a lot of damage output on and just commit to some early push. And then once you get inside to Grand Central Station, there's a lot of mobility and, of course, a lot of verticality with the central platform area where you can have a lot of fun with Elsa. But Adam, there are some solid hiding points if you do want to stick to that. Mantis is just always good to slip on in when it comes to damage boosting any of those hyper damage Vanguard Duelist characters. So wouldn't be surprised to see, honestly, similar, at least at the start, with some changes potentially in maybe as less of a priority onto those hyper backline characters that Heretics did last time, but we'll have to see.
There is a problem that kind of arises from that, though, Moxie, when you got a team prioritizing the protect onto Elsa. It's kind of what Heretics did. It was 4 strategists that they banned out. 7 out of the 8 characters that were banned out in that game were strategists, right? So when the focus goes on protecting the Deadpool Vanguard, and notably the Elsa as the first choice, Heretics have an easy job of like, all right, we'll just make sure that your backline can basically function at such a small capacity by getting rid of Invis, Loki, etc. It felt like that's something that maybe Vision want to prioritize more, or do you think they stick to trying to get Xerxes Elsa?
I mean, Elsa is really, really strong, but I think where it becomes a little bit problematic is the fact that Heretics had so much damage that they broke the summons on Apex Predator multiple times. Like, we saw potentially really good ults coming on through from the side of Xerx, but there was very little follow through because everyone just broke free of the summon before you could actually land the elimination and feel the threat of Elsa, even in terms of like the neutral too. Part of that is mostly down to like what Heretics are doing, the fact that they're running a triple strat line, so if incoming poke does come through from Elsa, they can just absorb it very, very quickly, so that unless Xerx is able to land these shots frequently back to back to back, then he's not having those like monstrous rampage games that we've seen Elsa players have. Plus the fact that Vision were losing fights, so when Xerx was taken down, he's scaling back his power by losing those instinct levels, which vastly impact the amount that you can do in terms of having those advances up, getting the additional health, and getting that automatic conversion of a shot too.
Should be getting into game fairly soon. Again, it's just, we're not doing this for the sake. We know 4 best of 5s for EMEA today, and then 4 best of 5s for Americas afterwards, right? We don't want to just have this be a yapping session. We want this just to be a marathon of gameplay so you can just keep up with the action, both in-game and out of it. But this feels, for Vision, I suppose, Tetcher, like we've seen a lot more of these players become maybe not household names, but improve a lot. Is there any player that you want to like specifically see consistently perform again that they did in the last map, or somebody that you want to see a little bit more out of? Because QB's been highlighted as a great IGL and knowledgeable player, going for a lot of the White Fox priority. It's just he has to lead the line, right?
QB was definitely targeted a little bit in that last game. I think if they can get some protection onto them and make sure that they can play a little bit safer, like you say, there was a lot of batting happening in terms of the backline, trying to force them onto some of those more safer backlines into at least anything with any kind of burst healing would have been spectacular for them here. In terms of people I want to see the same from, as Moxie mentioned, Zerx, as long as they can keep that instinct up, I think that would be great. Gade is still playing well, it's just that they haven't been able to find as much as they maybe would have wanted to previously. And Satam, despite the fact that Ultron did not find maybe as much in terms of eliminations with the Rage of Ultron, I do think it really was played spectacularly in terms of just actual damage output, so I'm more than happy to see them doing the same, or maybe even bring out an Adam of their own.
Well, here we go into ban phase, and yet again, it seems both teams are going for the ban line of Gambit, which is a huge deviation, honestly, from what we saw from Heretics in group stages. Literally every single game the Heretics played 100%, instant ban was always Elsa. So we're getting to see something slightly different, and that might also be playing a little bit of havoc with Vision scouting potential off of what they saw from group stage as well, as it looks like we'll be getting one-sided Elsa versus one-sided Mantis yet again, and the Mantis was problematic. We saw for as many fights as Zerx could potentially use that Apex Predator to be able to win out those engagements, Heretics were able to just control the neutral with the one-sided Mantis damage boost.
This does mean that Loki is still available, but isn't going to get prioritized at least this stage. They're going to focus instead on the Invisible Woman, taking out some burst healing, but still leaving open the option for that Beatific Vitality, and finally taking it away in the double ban phase. So
Convoy.
Is the Invisible Woman, it is Convoy. Loki is just very strong in general, and with the Mantis team up, could just do huge work. So taking that away, neither team gets their hands on a Gambit, and both teams get their hands on Elsa, as Heretics will protect it.
Yeah, Loki much higher in terms of priority on Convoy, given the fact that you can literally just choose your first hold with Loki, Mantis, Adam. Potentially, if the Loki was still kept in, something that Vision are actually going to go to lengths this time around to save. Last time we actually didn't see any focus on Loki coming through from their end, but this time they'll go for the save onto it, as Heretics will ban out the CD once more. So really long-lasting Eternal Bond ultimate to be able to sustain the team also means that you have to have something like a one-shot to be able to take it out early, but not just that, the survivability of a CD when you're stacking all of your players up to just lengthen out those fights and absorb all of that incoming poke pressure. It's so high, with CD both having AoE, heal attached to her primary, but also the ability to boost those heals with the Veil of Light Force.
Taking that away, so no heal boosts here, but both teams do end up taking away some life from their opponents either way, as both have banned out 4 strategists, with one being protected on each side in the form of Mantis and Loki. So immediately, Vision looking for a rollout, though they may have to break through a more aggressive hold. They're hovering Moon Knight and Wolverine just in case there's any shenanigans on the defense here from Heretics. But Heretics, they're going to be running a 2-1-3 with just Tanuki on that Elsa Bloodstone as the duelist, and they are going to be running a White Fox, but without the Lunar Snow team up. It is White Fox, Jeff, and Mantis on the defense.
I mean, I feel for Gainer. This Gru is going to walk out of attack spawn and run into Charm, Sleep, Jeff continuous damage and heal, and 12% damage boosted Elsa for the whole duration. Like, Tanuki's already almost 20% of his first ult off of literally just shooting the Vanguards alone.
Ironwood Wall is going to have to do some work here already. Wolverine hovering, looking to see if they can catch someone out of position. But in the meantime, the healing output is still extremely solid, taking out some of the clones and taking out Gainer. Naga showing that, yeah, they're on the Mantis, but traditionally they're usually a duelist player and is able to get a beautiful snipe onto the backline. Battle Rebirth Beacon will bring them back at this early stage, but very little movement so far and a lot of fighting, meaning we're already built up towards a ban hammer from Beetle.
I mean, QB's under Loki at least, so likely uses the greens to be able to bail Zerx out of that one. And indeed, there we go. Regeneration Domain already going to be taken off the field. 30-second cooldown, now counting down. Rex has got the Cosmic Ion Amplifier. Heretics do not have a match for this currently, but they might save it to try to burn through Tanuki's ultimate slightly faster as Beetle looks for the isolation onto Gainer. Forces the Cosmic Ion Amplifier out, utilizing the bubble from Deadpool to block the line of sight so that the Vanguard falls.
Big charm, Saddam looking for a wraparound, gets healed up, almost got dropped thanks to that charm from the White Fox. Tries to go for Magneto, but is blocked out by the bubble. But now Enzo is a little bit separated from his team. Finally will pull back and be able to reach the rest of them. Gets caught by the Glatrox, though, will be isolated that way. Beautiful wall from Gainer to make sure no healing can follow them with that Glatrox isolation, so they guarantee get the pickup here. And finally, Vision on the move, and they've got a lot of momentum going their way right now.
Enzo swaps to the Strange to be able to portal the team back. Regeneration Domain is going to be used early from QB so it can tick down through the ult. As we get Oasis actually utilizing the HDF to dodge Gainer's Castle Strangling Prison and also free his teammates from the confines of the Groot ultimate. Heretics pushing back with the Mantis, meeting Enzo in his portal, and Vision have to give up all of the space that they held previously, walking now right back into Heretics' ult pool.
Tanuki rejoins, just able to get through the portal in time after getting taken down early in that fight. Sends out the Glatrox, looking for an isolation of their own, and Satam, that's how it feels. And here comes the pressure from Heretics. They've got so much damage output, and Groot just does not have the shielding of someone like a Magneto, for example, so is just forced to just get chased back. Rex gets finished off by Enzo, who's playing a beautifully aggressive Doctor Strange right now, and it's all the way back to Spawn. Don't give them a chance to regroup, don't give them a chance to Doctor Strange. Just keep the pressure on from Heretics.
Yeah, I mean, Vision do have ults, so Heretics do have to respect them, especially if they play too scattered, because you want to stack into Alex's Kumeho Unleashed so that you get the benefit of the heal as opposed to being outside of the AoE. But that means that Vision get more space, so instead we get early Eye of Agamotto coming through from Enzo, puts him slightly too far forward, so he will fall, but it forces the Cosmic Ion Amplifier out on the side of Vision, and Heretics trade one Strange for an ultimate.
There is a little bit of a flank still here. Oasis is behind the members of Vision, so could try and make something happen here. QB attacking from one side, Jeff healing through the enemies to try and keep the pressure and keep the healing onto Tanuki here, creating a lot of damage output with two members taken down. Alex in the backline as well, going aggro with the White Fox into the Kumiho, forces them back, and Vision are repelled again, and with only 25 seconds remaining.
Yeah, you're even happier as well with the trade of Strange into Cosmic Ion Amplifier because Enzo just swaps to Venom and comes back post-haste to rejoin the fight. Heretics getting to fight 6 players strong. Yet again, they'll closer hold towards Vision's side, trying to force out these ultimates so they can play around them. Tanuki goes first, though. Zerx denied the opportunity to use the Elsa ult. He gets hit by Tanuki's instead.
Gainer's trying to rush on forward. Satam's taken down, but comes back at the battle. Vader, gets taken down, back at the battle. Rebirth Beacon into the fight so they can try and take this. It's a completely split fight. Heretics attacking from both angles. Last stand to take one down, but they're able to get away thanks to the teleport of the White Fox. Beetle goes down, though, in exchange for Gainer, so they can keep pressure onto the board. Vader's the last Vanguard on the board for Vision. They've lost all their tankiness, and they're about to lose all of their healing output. QB is down. Gainer's nowhere near the point. Saddam can't reach, and Heretics will hold before the first point.
So everything that we talked about in terms of that Elsa getting to scale up with both the Mantis damage boost, but also just staying alive. Yeah, that's applied to Tanuki. He's just an absolute beast unleashed towards the later end of those fights, as opposed to poor Zerx, who every time he revisits that respawn, that mobility just starts taking hits, and it allows Heretics so much control of the map space. The fact that they were fine as well as just wearing slowly down Vision's ult economy, especially the Cosmic Ion Amplifier, which should enable this team to be able to push forward and overcome the Mantis damage boost, right? 12% compared to 40%. You don't have to be a mathematician to know that that is not going to work out on Heretics' end. So what do they do instead? They punish the fact that Cosmic Ion Amplifier is static when it's cast. They have one person go forward, force it out early. Vision then don't get to use the window of its activity to push into Heretic space, and Enzo just comes back, cycles once on this range, back on the Venom, for Heretics to be able to sustain through what happens next.
your vision is a slight, there's a slight issue with the vision. Zerx is not in fact down before the round starts, so do not worry about that. That will be fixed shortly, I am sure. Satan starting on the Adam, going for revives. They want to try and hold them close. They've got double revives with Rocket and the Adam Warlock and the Loki. Every possible chance to keep people in this fight and buy as much time as possible. Naga starts on the Moon Knight here to try and build up some quick ultimates. See if they can just get a nice early push out here.
I mean, this is also to play havoc with the Loki.
Yep.
If Vision tried to stack up and play for just the sustainability, the Loki getting the ultimate ahead of the Adam due to the AoE, then that means more Ankh Bouncers coming through from the Moon Knight and potentially forcing out that BRB early. That being said, if Vision want to just stack up, they're not taking high ground, and Tanuki yet again now gets the Manta's damage boost and establishes his position on the high ground, which now puts pressure both on Vision, forcing them to pull back, but also meaning that that backline will be exposed when he pushes past Ambulance.
A lot of pressure onto the high ground. There's that finish line already, and this is very good time for Heretics right now. Vision forced to back away, but they can't give too much space because they have to defend this. Saddam up 65% on a Karmic Revival. They need to be building that faster. Rex, though, will have Cosmic Yard Amplifier, but they may drop it early. Gainer's already down. May have to strain as the Yard Amplifier has to come out just to make sure that they can delay as long as possible. Naga returning on Phoenix, knowing that there's going to be multiple summons that they need to take down. Potentially a Battle Rebirth Beacon, Loki clones, anything to take them off the board. But Vision, with that, were able to force Heretics back. But with 2.5 minutes left, Moxie, Vision, that's not a lot of distance left for them to hold.
No high ground too. Vision aren't close holding, they're relying on just the distance and spam. Satan will be able to take Oasis down, which also allows you to build up Karmic Revival too. So now you can actually risk losing players. You can see the tightening of the space now coming on through from the side of Vision, pushing up for more, trying to get more eliminations, wearing down the time bank even further so that Heretics lose the opportunity to make these plays with pushes and ults. Since it now comes down to it, you've got your red cycle in play. Can Heretics sustain through the fight, not just through one Karmic Revival cast, but two?
Let's see if they can get them off, though. One Psionic Seduction will shut them down. You cannot use ultimates while you are caught within its clutches. So they have to make sure they are in the right position. Already, the Fantastica starts to creep forward. Once again, Badhammer on the flank from the backline. Gainer trying to push on inside seduction. Comes on out, takes out a lot of the Loki Green. Glass Rocks isolates Vader, takes them off the board. It's going to be a Cosmic Yard Amplifier from QB with the ultimate steal. With that, an extra God of Mischief as Karmic Revival comes on out. Can they reach Vader? Vader does just get revived right on the edge of it. And that might be enough for Vision to hold this for at least a little bit longer. But no one from Heretics went down. And that was every single tool that Vision seems to have available. Immediately the push comes on in, trying to go for an isolation. Beetle is in the backline, trying to put some pressure onto Sata. Meteor M onto Tanuki, who just barely tanks it. Stays in the fight to keep the damage going. But now the split of the team almost gets them punished, forcing Heretics to regroup as Enzo was taken down.
Pretty careful, though. Outside of the mag being able to bubble it with the Bulwark, you don't have Meteor Am trying to put a stop to Oasis. Enzo's also coming back on the Venom so that they can use symbiotic shenanigans to outlive the Soul Bond and push up, taking Rex out of the way. Vision lose the Battle Recall Beacon. They lose the Cosmic Can Amplifier chance, and this is when they're making their move. They've got the Elsa for the neutral elimination pressure, and they're splitting Vision's players off, forcing one to have to be on point, contesting Heretics hitting the checkpoint before Vision lose their whole team. It's a hostage situation and one that Heretics win.
Well done, Heretics, taking not only the map, but a second win in the series, one away from a victory in the playoffs and continuing their run already completely undefeated at this stage. Vision, they put on as best of a performance as they could there, but it just did not make a difference. Shout out to Satam, though. 5 final hits, going 5-2 on Adam Warlock was very nicely done. But just Tanuki, just ruling the high ground there. You could see an attempt, you called it, that there was no high ground control from Vision. And that's just because Tanuki was like, well, there's only one person up here. Guess I'll take it. That's mine now.
I mean, Alex doesn't go down once the whole map.
Yeah.
11-0-14 in terms of assists. The power of the Mantis, like, I honestly, moving forward for this next map, the adjustment I want to see is Vision looking at that Mantis uptime, because Heretics have used it to brutal effect these last two maps. Like, Tanuki was able to get as much as he was doing there off of, yes, player skill, but also the fact that he almost constantly had that 12% damage boost, being able to win out the Alsamira versus Zergs.
Zergs did just get 21k damage, which was still very impressive, but not enough to hold on out here. Actually, was able to keep up with Tanuki throughout that game. Either way, what an impressive matchup there for Heretics.
Yeah, we'll be back with map 3 after this break.
Felicia's here to steal a win. Good fortune for me. Cat's claws. Me, ouch. Let's make a deal. Peekaboo. Hup. So stealthy.
That's how we do it, Catwalk.
Eat your heart out, strange. Deliciously dangerous.
I unleash the Shanti power.
Now's the perfect time to strike. You crossed my path. Good boy, Petey. Meow.
Vision 2-0 down in this best of 5 series. Midtown not quite going their way. At moments, I suppose, again, where that attack could look like it could string together, but Heretics, when they were on Citadel, Navi before, 5v6, 4v6 against them, Tetra, it felt that they could claw it back, and there was a good fight, I think, from the strange ult from Enzo a little bit like earlier on. It made sure that Vision weren't really getting that far outside the first point.
Yeah, that was just Heretics taking so much space control. It's something we saw Vision try to replicate on their defense, but it was the opportunities found by Heretics when they were on attack, just able to take that high ground away from the Magneto at one point, take control, and just was able to bully so effectively. We also saw some great stuff. Moxie pointed out the incredible use of It's Jeff as a counter to the Groot straggling prison, meaning that only one person went down when 3 people were caught. Just very nice to see. Also, just some incredible White Fox play, including some backline dives and the ability to teleport out of danger when nearly getting isolated. Was just absolutely insane performance from Heretics. While Vision looked good, it's Heretics. This is what we've been seeing from them. They're just that good.
I mean, I think the problem for me was that it was a full hold, right? So when we saw them give up so much space that they did within the first few moments of their defense, including all of the high ground. Like, normally, if you're playing the low-key Adam, you want to be able to just, like, take a fight, stall it out for as long as possible. You've got Soul Bond, you've got Regeneration Domain. You should at least be able to absorb some of the incoming pressure in neutral phase against the attack, so that when the fight kicks off again, you're actually close to, like, a Karmic Revival or having that God of Mischief to be able to copy one. The problem for them was that they gave up so much space that they lost one of those places that you kite back to when you lose corner control, because it's usually you hold your position in side room, then when that is given up, you kite back to ambulance, and you have your frontline anchor on ambulance so that your backline can play safer towards main route, and if they get pressured, they can hop into alley, which is that sort of in between first and second. That goes away the moment that Tanuki is unleashed on the high ground, because he gets full high ground control. You can put pressure on both of the vanguards who are trying to use ambulances sort of cover when they don't have their cooldowns and resources to keep them active, or if their strategists have to reload, or they're being overwhelmed by the amount of incoming damage. And then he breaks past the vanguards even before the vanguards drop to go onto the top of ambulance and put pressure on the backline to force Regeneration Domain early, to the point that we see the Loki copying the rocket as opposed to copying the Adam, which everyone from the side of Heretics just know, okay, well, we'll lose one person, but we force out the Loki ult, we only have to go through one Karmic Revival, we can play outside of the Cosmic Gun Amplifier, they won't overextend because they don't want to risk having to trade someone and instantly pulling out that Adam res. We can just bide our time and wait for our moment, because they've given so much space. It was one fight win.
Pretty much was down to that, like, play by play, and it was just how quickly Tanuki took the high ground as well. Not afraid to go in for those fights, and he commands a lot of respect. In that time, we did see Central Park being chosen. I think Vision wanted to go for Symbiotic Service, but it's kind of like the first full answer that they gave, so they are hopping across. But I do think it's an interesting map to be looking at from, like, Heretics' POV, Moxie, because they've only played Halls of Jalia as a convergence map. Now V forced them onto it, and they were happy to play it. But it's the fact that we saw on Central Park the Ultron Torch combination from Shikigami that they managed to take a map against Navi on. So I am wondering here if Vision have the ideas similar. They've played a bit of Ultron already. Maybe they want to go for a similar kind of composition. But also what Heretics decide to do on what I feel is the most popular convergence map of Central Park.
Dive. Honestly, like that's how you're going to be able to attack Central Park. Like, dive. You have to address things like the Daredevil, the Venom, anything that can literally, from attacker's side, split around the map, split the defense's attention so that they can't just guard one lane of main and stop the attacks from taking, like, the side angles, the high ground positions. But I think, like, crucially for me, it does not matter which map that we go to or which map mode unless Vision address the Mantis, because this is a problem. We knew it was going to be a problem. We theorized, like, okay, does it get to the point that teams save the Mantis first because you just don't have enough ban slots to be able to take out what the Mantis enables? You can take out the Elsa, but you're still going to be able to get a hypercarry Phoenix through, or a Namor, or potentially a Hela, or even, as we've been talking about, Tanuki Psylocke 2.
I want to highlight some good sportsmanship that came from Heretics, because Heretics were like, we're fine with playing Symbiotic Service. Like, they came out, like, it seemed like Vision wanted to go for that, went for Central Park instead, wanted to change it back, and Heretics were like, we're okay with them if they want to change it to Clintar. So, it does look like we're potentially going there, but I think it's kind of like what Moxie said, 2 birds, 1 stone. Address me, the bug-eyed girl says, and it's how much she brings together. It does feel like a bit more of a curveball, because I think Tetra... Symbiotic Service we've seen the least, I think, out of all of the convergence maps, and that includes Heart of Heaven, which we have seen a couple of times from the likes of Fire.
It's because it plays so differently to a lot of the other maps, because of just how long that walk up to the actual point is, where you can just eat so much damage, and how the point has beautiful places for stuff like Battle Rebirth Beacon, great flanking positions. There are wraparound points, but you can in theory take damage on the way there. Portal play you'll almost certainly see on this map if it's not banned off, because being able to get behind your opponents and, like, try and break through that very tight choke point onto the objective is big, or to try and displace your opponents from the high ground if they try and set up on that left-hand side defense side to try and just stop your opponents going for that left-hand wraparound. It's a tough situation it's a tough map to push into, with some of the more chaotic strategies we've seen throughout time as well. Once we get to those later points, this is the map where we first saw stuff like the Hulk Wolverine combo to try and take down flyers, which you can sometimes see on this map due to the verticality of point 1, giving flyers a little bit of cover to ping people who try and enter into the objective. This map is just a little bit... It's like this and Shin Shibuya are maps that teams are a little potentially not less prepared for, but it doesn't fit as cleanly into some of the other convergence maps.
What Tetsuya means to say basically is it's defense coded. It's
Yes.
so heavily
Appreciate it.
defense coded. Like it's not just first that's the problem. First is where your problems start, and then you go into second. And if you lose any fight, even one fight on the attack, you lose all of the momentum, and the defense gets full ability to just hold high ground. Their backlane can be playing in a position which you don't get to see, so you don't get to put pressure on them when they get to put all of the pressure on you. And then we go into third. We get to see the stall potential as well, with the defense being able to just funnel player after player after player from spawn onto the point itself. They win one fight, they can hold up close, they can force you to have to burn ults, just being able to get through those chokes. You're fighting in open space as well, which means against things like dive compositions or poke compositions, open space, 0 places for you to be able to kite out of both the damage or the incoming vanguards hitting your backline. It's just an amount of time that you're going to be burning, even if you manage to complete the full push.
And time is, we're waiting for these players as well to get into the server as well. So it's just, for Vision, it's a tough ask, but at the very least we get to see exactly what Heretics are going for. And I think one of the early things, Tetra, real quick, is like Enzo said, we just need reps. We need to practice these matchups, these compositions. We know that we can play everything. It's just about getting experience. And to be fair, even if this is a 3-0 one-sided towards Heretics, they are getting that. They're getting a lot of reps on characters that we haven't seen them play in officials as of yet this season.
Like you said, they're adjusting, they're moving different strategies around, they're trying different stuff. We know how flexible this team can be, and they've got the opportunity to continue to do so. They've now got a completely different map style in terms of how they want to play this. It's not about close-up door defenses, it's about holding onto the actual objective itself, and then, of course, moving backwards and slowly not giving your opponents as much space as needed. So yeah, I'm excited to see how they adjust into this. There is, of course, the opportunity as well where fast characters are extremely good on this map just due to walking distance in a lot of cases.
Well, here we go, getting ready to head into Symbiotic Surface. And I mean, like, honestly, with how often Heretics have been able to go for the save onto Mantis, I feel like the only way that Vision will be able to remove it is if they instant ban it. But that then creates a large problem of like, okay, well, does Elsa get through? Does Gambit get through? Like, is Mantis worth the address? I say yes, to be honest. I think like Elsa is problematic, but much more so is the Mantis composition that Heretics are running, because it wins you the neutral, it wins you the ult cycle as well, having the Mantis ult to both aggress forward to take first turn or potentially use it defensively to play for recontest.
We'll see exactly how it's going to happen. If Heretics are going to take the series 3-0, our Vision can make Clintar a saving grace for them to come back into it. But I guess, like you guys mentioned, it's where this Mantis is going to be in a draft, either a first protect for Heretics or a first ban for Vision. So we'll see exactly how they want to go. Take it away, guys.
Ready to null for Vision here.
What's it to be? Oh, that's a Mantis hover.
Do it. Do it. Do it. It's enabling so much. There we go. Mantis is taken away. Heretics, they're going to stick with the Gambit ban out for themselves here. And Vision, they will prioritize an Elsa on their own side here. So Heretics, they can guarantee themselves, if they want here, a one-sided Gambit.
Yeah, they can ban Mantis here, honestly, I think would be the play. You can address the Loki a little bit later in your next ban, right? Vision don't get the opportunity to save it before then. Much more important is removing that Mantis so that Elsa is not as problematic as Tanuki's has been. As we get the Gambit save coming through from Heretics, which now sets in motion the chain of bans. Loki having to be removed so we don't get 2 casts of Raging Roar Flush. Vision will secure a one-sided Elsa, it appears, if they want to go for this. Heretics not yet showing, so there's a little bit of debate about where they want to use this ban. And actually, Vision swerve away from the Elsa and go for the Invisible Woman instead, because I think like both of these teams, breaking open Symbiotic Surface is going to come from one of your Vanguards splitting from main and trying to hit the backline. Be it the Venom, be it the Captain America, and Invisible Woman literally stands in the way of that.
having the knockback, having the psionic vortex for pulling people in and slowing them down when they dive you, and of course the ability to jump away and turn invisible makes you very hard to pin down. So a solid takeaway from both sides here. Vanguard Deadpool for one of our first non-strategist bans in 2 games. We're going to see that taken away by Vision. If Elsa's on the board, maybe remove at least one of the other characters, remove the characters that can enable her. We've already taken out Mantis for the damage boost, now taking out the Vanguard Deadpool to remove even more percentage damage capabilities, and even securing it one-sided. Vision really trying to just make sure that their Elsa is the most powerful in the server.
Yeah, but Elsa gets through for both sides.
Yes, it does.
Heretics don't have the Elsa banned, it's the Invisible Woman instead, so they'll be able to secure that one-sided save. I think as well, like, Vision feel a little bit safer going for the Vanguard Deadpool ban out here because they know that Gambit got through on the side of Heretics, and when Heretics ran the Strategist Deadpool, it was Alex. Alex has been playing the Gambit for Heretics, so if he's left between the option of Strategist Deadpool versus Gambit, well, Gambit will be one that you take every day of the week, especially because Heretics didn't just get the Gambit through. Vision, in terms of having to address things like the Mantis, the Loki, the Vanguard Deadpool, have let slip both the Star-Lord for the Raging Roll Flush synergy with Galactic Legend, the Mag to be able to bubble the Star-Lord so that he is the safest at being able to build that ultimate as quickly as possible, but the Rogue as well. So we have full Hearts as One team up for neutral and synergy with the Gambit ult.
That's a huge amount of long distance damage from the Magneto to try and break through at these attacking members, and when Heretics go and attack, they're also going to be able to ping from long distance. And Beetle, once they get up close, just became so much scarier, doing huge amounts of burst damage thanks to the team up. But for now, Vision, we're going to have a look at their composition. They have gone extremely aggressive. Daredevil and Elsa with a Venom and Vanguard Deadpool. This is an extremely aggressive setup here. Rex on the rocket is going to be hovering a little bit far back just in case anyone gets caught out.
Yeah, I like the rocket Jeff here coming on through from Vision. You know that Heretics have liked to hold close on their defenses so far this series, so you're thinking that they're going to go for early points of contact. You don't want to lose someone early on to poke coming on through from that Elsa. If you do, you've got the Battle Recall Beacon, and in the meantime, you've got your Daredevil to give you all of the information from where Heretics are playing to set up the dive. Trades come through, but as we've talked about, that's benefiting Vision in the long run because they just trade BRB as opposed to an actual player, and Heretics down a Vanguard have to pull back.
Nuki is just dueling beautifully right now. Everyone's trying to dive onto the point. Vision are going hyper aggressive, and they have finally been able to take him down. They're getting a little bit of percentage here. The aggression of Vision forcing Heretics off the board before they're close to ult charges. Try and take the advantage, but in comes Beetle on that Rogue. We saw them really debut it a little bit earlier, and it's already scary. But Vision are like a wall here, and once again, we can see their aggressive first fights that we saw on Dom really coming into play here on Symbiotic Surface.
Daredevil one-sided information buff. That's what it is. Like, Satam's just perfectly calling where exactly Heretics are and when they're too split away from being able to help the Vanguards. If they can find those hits onto the front line, we saw what a big step backwards the rest of Team Heretics have to make. But Heretics, they're going to be coming up to some good ults to be able to open up this fight. QB, though, with the It's Jeff, could potentially go for the same play that we saw, using the Jeff ult to grab people outside of Tanuki's when we get the Elsa ult coming through. Alex instigates with the Gambit ult, allowing Tanuki to take prime high ground control, though. The Vision are still finding trades, forcing now Heretics to have to burn solid ult too.
QB's going to be dropping that It's Jeff to make sure that they don't get picked off as well. Enzo portaling back in because Vision keep getting distance and momentum here. They'll force to back up. Oasis dropping a little bit, trying to keep Tanuki healed up, but Tanuki will still fall. They'll be able to respawn and make it through the portal in time before it expires, but this is now Heretics playing extremely far forward to try and delay and buy as much time as possible. They will now all respawn through the hole into the portal. Coming on in, the Devil's been let out from Satam. Tanuki onto the Daredevil themselves to try and counter it out, but the momentum is heavy right now for Vision, making it 3 for 2, 4 for 2. Tanuki's on the run to try and escape. It's going to be Naga that falls. Tanuki actually gets away, but there is no one touching that Essence of Null right now as Vision continue their incredible push.
There's the expected swap. So Tanuki is actually going to go on to the Daredevil to have the same level of information and match Satam when he looks for those lane fights. Oasis goes to the White Fox as well. Players have literally said on tape that it's very problematic. It's almost impossible for the Venom Daredevil to be able to dive into the amount of CC that this team comp brings. But Gaina's already been able to just jump onto Heretics, coming on through with a Banhammer to kickstart things and rip through the team despite Beetle's Heartbreaker coming on through. Trades are in play. Heretics might be able to hold off of the stabilization of the Rogue ult, plus just the Elsa damage alone in neutral, shredding Vision's health bars.
Lovely trade there, Vision. They were actually able to keep it even for a bit, but Heretics' momentum worked out in their favor. Pushing back in, Rex on the White Fox, giving themselves a little bit of anti-dive as well. But in terms of ultimates, we're seeing Oasis with a small lead when it comes to those potential Kumihos. Enzo 93% towards that Meteor M for quick blow-up. Zerx though, Galatrox, Naga, Galatrox, both with Apex Predator just around the corner, looking for their opportunity to push on in. Right now, it's just trying to keep the pressure onto those diving characters like Vader, who gets bullied off the point for just daring to step up.
Yeah, this is the problems that we were talking about, right? You lose one fight, you lose the momentum, and now Heretics are on a heavily anti-dive composition. You've got the White Fox for the charm, you've got the Daredevil to read when Vision want to try to hit and where they're going to hit, so you can absorb the dive and potentially even get eliminations off onto it. Like, Tanuki does not have to go aggressive, you can literally just play to contain the dive. You can make your first turn now, though, with one-sided Gambit ult and just run on top of Vision before they got the opportunity to try to stabilize. They'll let it happen, they'll lose the fight fast. They'll try to come back into the next one with all of the ults in play to overwhelm Heretics.
Alex with the chase, making sure that Satam isn't able to stick nearby and see where those defensive positions were. They knew it was low, don't give them a chance to reset, pick them off, force them to regroup with the rest of the team. With 1 minute 20 seconds remaining, Heretics hold the point and continue to fire down range, making advantage of just how long these approach routes are. Exactly what we said before the game here, as Kyubi is trying to keep the healing going. Bad Hammer into the backline. Vader this time is able to get out of the nearly getting focused down onto the point. Oasis forced to bring out the Kumiho to keep the healing output going and force Vision to reset for a moment. Vader not healed back to full yet, may need a Kumiho of their own to keep that fight going. Beautiful pickup from Tanuki onto Satam, meaning numbers advantage is going to be traded out evenly as Gainer takes down Tanuki, keeping that going. Beautiful pickup from Naga though, as Enzo is still holding the choke point, getting the chase and forcing them back another time, Moxie.
Yeah, Vision trying to just conserve as many ultimates as possible. They know that they have to win this fight and then the next before they get more time bank. So Heretics just chased. They've got Tanuki's information. They win the lane fight against the Daredevil and Vision lose players, forcing them now down to 23 seconds. Their hand will be forced. They have ults, but they've got to use them. And for Heretics, you can now afford to force the ultimates out from your opponents, lose the fight, come into the next one with your engagement of one-sided Gambit ult in OT when you can't disengage it. But they don't even have to do that, as Alex is able to find the elimination onto Gainer, survive the dive coming through onto his backline, and Heretics, they lose Tanuki, but they still think that this is winnable. Beetle comes through with the Heartbreaker. All of the ults that Vision had are being drained away. It's OT. They can't kite out the Rogue. Alex with the Gambit ult. You've even got the Elsa ult thrown on top just to be able to sweep Vision away.
Gainer stuck with the Deadpool because they know they can make it back to the point in time to keep that fight going. Beetle taken out by Zerx with the kite back. Rex barely surviving that fight. Devil's been unleashed from both sides, but the hit points are not looking great for Vision. But they're holding. It's Jeff for the healing. Zerx and Gainer are both down. Portal is available, so they can swap to bring it back or try and rush back in. Gainer's over to the Strange as overtime is starting to tick down, but Vision are holding the point. Heretics with the dual Saturn trying to get onto that backline, take out the sustain, but Kumiho comes out for Oasis to keep it going. Portal for Gainer to keep this delay going, but they just lost 4 members. No one to touch, and that's a hold by Heretics.
Oh, those symbiotes. Oh, those symbiotes. The walls on Clintar strike again. The elimination on Oasis was crucial. He was so close to Kumiho Unleashed. They absolutely had to take the White Fox down before they took that fight afterwards, because Oasis just gets the ult off, gets the whole health reset as well to be able to come through, anchor his position, let Heretics regroup, and Vision have nothing to be able to instantly melt through it, nor can they just get out of the range so that Oasis loses the opportunity to heal. And we have a line drawn in the sand. As we talked about, like, it's not just capturing first on symbiotic surface is problematic. No, like, honestly, a lot of teams have gotten really, really good at being able to cap this map within 2 minutes of their attack. Where it becomes problematic is what happens next.
Being able to defend yourself here. Vision, looking at their composition, they're actually still not even fully decided what they're rolling out with. Finding a lock on in, they're sticking with that Venom to make sure they get symbiotic shenanigans on Kyuubi. And they're just going to stick with a little bit of sustain, going with that Zootopia backline, the Rocket Raccoon and the Jeff the Land Shark to get as much healing output and mobility to avoid counter dive from Heretics as possible. Enzo looking to potentially bring us out an incredible Hulk to help deal with that Jeff.
I mean, Heretics here get attack advantage though, because what they can do is they can scout out the comp that Vision are on and decide if they actually want to commit to the counter dive backline of having Oasis on this White Fox, which has proved very problematic for both the Venom and Daredevil to have to deal with. But like you said, Enzo will be on that Hulk. He's going to be able to have those bubbles to be able to block off the Jeffel. As we're going to see, like, Heretics, they'll try to walk high ground. Vision will let them. They're looking to try and hit the backline and the front line at the same time, buying space for Zerks to be able to apply pressure onto those isolated behind. But Enzo, with the Hulk mobility, just wraps back around, peels his backline, and then makes a play to take Vision's high ground.
A little bit isolated in that right now. Will of course be able to leap back, but with no bubble. Beautiful focus there. Rex and Satan both fall. Kyuubi down as well, and now Vision, they just got wiped off the board, and that means their only chance of a retake here would be a portal, or Satan trying to literally rush the point to give them time to try and re-engage. But with the objective on this map being very difficult to actually portal onto this point because of the way the building's set up,
you can't
exit through the left door. There's no way you reach it in time.
You can't. Teams will just not go for strange TP because if they lose that fight, for the first fight on second, they have 0 high ground control. Like, for Vision right now, name of the game is hold high ground, get an elimination off from Zerks potentially coming on through, maybe both Gainers ult up. They lose the Elsa, the BRB brings them back, but like, they've lost so much space. They're still being split. We can see that attempts are having to be made with the team understanding we've lost the fight. We've got to have one person on point so that Heretics at least get stalled somewhat out of just having that push the distance. We get an opportunity to take a fight afterwards, but they're just being staggered continuously. Oh my goodness. They've been able to isolate Satan fully behind enemy lines. The Daredevil goes down now, which means that Vision have absolutely no information on where Heretics are playing.
And Heretics already pushing over halfway through to the finish line, keeping some pressure, trying to force them off the high ground, with Enzo just leaping up there with Tanuki, putting the pressure on. Here comes the Apex Predator to try and isolate people outside of that symbiotic shenanigans, healing from Jeff. Allowing them to keep pressure on the backline. Here comes the counter from Zerks, but their health bars are so low. Bane is already setting up a portal, but they've got to be quick, and they're going to have to take this alone, because that objective is already touching that finish line. You gotta make it through. They will dive through with Satan and Beta being the only hope onto the board right now. The rest of the team will respawn to try and contest this, with the Incredible Hulk going for the full Monster Hulk, trying to lock them down, prevent Satan from getting any freedom. But Tanuki and Beetle destroy everything here, and the numbers for Vision are not looking good. It's Jeff to try and buy time, gets a couple, but is deleted by Tanuki, who has the high ground to ensure they could not get forced off the point. And that is Team Heretics grabbing the point, grabbing the map, and grabbing the series in a 3-0.
I mean, Vision just did not get a team fight. That's the crucial thing, right? Even though the strange TP comes through, you look at the ult economy, they have nothing to stabilize out. They're not even close to ultimates because of how split they were spread by the Hulk showing up on the side of Heretics, the Daredevil that they had to deal with, the Vanguard Deadpool that they had to deal with, the Rogue, like everything that Vision had was basically just a case of, okay, well, we're not getting to regroup, we're not getting to stabilize, we're not getting to battery for a strategist ult, even if we're losing the fight, we're not getting our duelists doing damage at the lead up to said fights, so we don't have an ultimate that forces Heretics to have to give space in respect to what we could use to try to put pressure on them. And then when we get to that last fight, like Team Heretics, they know, okay, they're through the portal, but if we just use everything in one go before Vision hit anything that they have to be able to rebuff that, we'll just sweep the fight and win. And it was one of the cleanest attack rounds that we've seen from Symbiotic Surface.
like we were talking about just how good Vision's attack round was themselves when they were taking point number 1. Their hyper aggression with their dive composition, but it feels like they just unlocked Heretics. Heretics were like, okay, let's just try something defensive, and I set up here, and they got dove hard. And then the second they will unleash themselves, bringing out Oasis on that White Fox, bringing out the Daredevil, bringing out Beetle on that Rogue, they just came right back into it. And like you say, they never gave Vision a chance once they moved on to attack.
I mean, you can see here in the replays, right? Vision are just not getting to fight 6v6 because Heretics, their entire composition is designed to force you into having to take split fights, which Heretics are then able to win despite having no ultimates. They've got so many good cooldowns in the neutral. Like, Hulk cannot understate this enough. He is literally so strong in neutral with the amount of sustainability and mobility that he has. We saw Vision trying to set up the pinch onto Heretics' backline and hit on the front line at the same time with symbiotic shenanigans advantage. Don't get to do that. Enzo just jumps the backline, peels it, and then blink and you'll miss it. He's already taking Vision's high ground.
It was pretty much as expected for Heretics, but I do think that they wanted to get the stress tests out as early as they can, especially because they have the winner of Shikigami versus Rad, the best of 5 that's coming after this series, to decide if they're going to be going up in the upper bracket tomorrow, or if they're going to meet other teams like Vision that are fighting for their lives tomorrow in the losers bracket. So it is a tough go for Vision here. You had a lot of good moments, but it felt like the drafts, Tetra, being how they've been against the likes of VP, Rad, you could take one thing out in particular, like the Mantis, but good teams could just find something else to fill those gaps, even to the point that we're seeing Heretics actually playing some Elsa today, which they haven't had the opportunity to, and both of the duelists playing the Elsa too.
Just because they don't get the opportunity to normally doesn't mean they don't. And that's the scary thing about a team like Heretics. Their draft pool is so deep because they have all these options all played at an incredibly high level, and also with the fact that all these dive characters are so strong right now, and you've got players like Enzo and Tanuki on your team who can just make it happen. And Oasis, we were talking him up, arriving for the first time here. We saw some great plays, but the White Fox is what impressed me the most from him there, with some great counters, great positioning, not getting taken down at that key moment that Moxie pointed out. It's delightful to see Heretics, well-deserved win. I'm excited to see what more to come from them.
So much like positive stuff really for Heretics, as the organization picked up these players mostly from Citadel, the ones that didn't go over to Americas at the very least, and some other new additions, I suppose, that have come from various rosters, including Beetle, who is going to be our interview very shortly. Like I think we said, the Rogue was like a first introduction for him, unless we saw a little bit of it from previous like MRCs that he might have played. But honestly, Moxie, it does feel like everybody's so capable on the characters in the game currently that the shift arounds on who was playing Duelist, who was playing which strategist, didn't seem to mire Team Heretics in the slightest. They were ready for it.
Well, I mean, they got Gambit through. If you get Gambit through, there's no way that you pass up the opportunity of playing Rogue, Magneto, and Star-Lord. There's like literally no way, because you have the strongest ult combo to be able to eliminate through strategist ults, if Vision even have them up in time. And then you also have that team up to be able to just constantly have that neutral damage burst, being able to hit so that the Rogue is so lethal, as opposed to what she is sometimes a little bit where you can absorb that damage if you have a triple strat line and just sort of bat her off. And I think like that was really, really crucial to just Heretics having so much space. But I think like in the future, what a lot of teams are probably going to be looking at is White Fox might have to be used and addressed in ban line, purely because she directly counters both the Venom and the Daredevil. In the same way that we see like teams wanting to remove the Daredevil and have one-sided Daredevil, because you can take other elements of Dive out, but Daredevil is the only character in the game before Black Cat is added, because we're not playing with Black Cat added, who has that passive, who is able to see all of that information, and that allows you to just have so much read of when to hit, where to hit, and just have it constant applications of threat, and not letting you be able to just like sit back in your space and adjust, because you're constantly having to be like, is he here yet? Is he there yet? Is he behind me? He's already behind me. And you have zero time to adjust. Like White Fox is very similar in that we see so many strategists having resources that can deal with dive, but up against the Venom and the Daredevil, White Fox has the most survivability in that she can still punish things like the Venom, even if you have Invisible Woman banned out.
I think, Tetra, I remember casting a lot of Citadel last year with you, and we looked at the likes of Enzo and stuff. I remember there being like Spider Islands, for example. Every time it seemed that Citadel, Enzo's team at that point were a little bit sort of counted out, they were very quick to make the adjustments, right, compositionally. Very quick to just run back into spawn, change up, and come again, which I think was really handy for them this time around because it looked like Vision were in control when they were running a dive. It's a method that they've said themselves really suits them, so naturally it made a lot of sense that they were able to do so well. But as soon as that change came in, it was a big deal for them. But we do have Beetle on the line, so we can ask him a couple of these questions ourselves. And I think the first one, Beetle, is because we haven't had much of a chance to talk to you in a Heretics jersey, what was the process of joining the team like? It seemed like Enzo was really keen on picking you and Naga up in particular, but how did that discussion go from your end?
So basically, they were looking for an off-tank, and it wasn't really sure if I could even play, but I was like their first option, for sure.
So looking now at your performance in the playoffs as opposed to the group stages, obviously there was a little bit of time for the meta to somewhat stabilize. Do you think the meta has actually stabilized, or do you think that teams are still working out what exactly is strong in terms of both composition being played, but also ban lines too?
I think, like the start of preseason, everybody was banning whatever, like maybe Gambit first, maybe Elsa first. Right now it shifted more into a Gambit first ban and then Elsa first save. The last few bans are like, they can change or whatever you want.
Sort of to go a little bit deeper into that then, because you were actually one of the teams who had a 100% instant ban rate on Elsa. Why do you think teams have moved away from the Elsa instant ban and are instead looking at the Gambit?
Because if the other team has Elsa, you can ban like supports that can help the Elsa a lot, like Mantis, like Invis, and then basically you want to cut off like any help for the Elsa, so you have a winning matchup.
I wanted to talk to you about your pool in particular. In the previous seasons, before characters like Rogue, for example, were added, we saw you very often on Captain America and characters like that. How have you been enjoying Rogue coming into it, as that's one of the more recent heroes to be added?
I think Rogue without the Gambit team up is not really playable. It really depends. Like if the enemy team have full dive, maybe you can go Rogue and like grab the dive, maybe shift into them. But yeah, with the Gambit team up, you can just jump on them, hit everyone, they all take infinite damage. You can also hit your teammate, heal your teammates. It's super strong.
I think Enzo said on the first interview that we had with him that the key thing for you guys as a team was just reps. Getting as many matchups as possible, getting as much practice against and with certain compositions as much as you possibly can. Was today kind of like that for you? You were very much going to be the favorites in a lot of like predictions. Did you feel like this was a good chance to be thrown a couple of curveballs? And if so, what were you not expecting from Vision when it came to, like, for example, first banning out the Jeff? Was there a lot of stuff from today that caught you guys by surprise that you had to adjust to, or did you expect it all?
I mean, the meta right now is banning Gambit first, so seeing like a Jeff first ban or a Mantis first ban was pretty weird. But I don't think it's good, so we just got everything we wanted to play, and it was pretty easy for there, respectfully.
And I guess the final question for me is, a lot of these early playoff games are like VP versus Peps, Na'Vi versus Fire. They're very much favorites, but your opponent next is either going to be Shikigami or Rad. It seems the closest series out of these first four. Who have you got like winning in that? Because you've had played up against Shikigami in your group. Do you think Rad is the favorite in that one, or how do you think that's going to go?
I think it can go either way, but probably Rad have the upper edge here, definitely. And about
What's scary
Na'Vi
about
Fear,
that?
it's probably Na'Vi. Rad can just pull out everything, I think. But I'm not too worried about them. It should be fine still.
You think there's going to be, if it is Rad tomorrow, you think there's going to be a couple of interesting drafts between you? Because you're both the same, right? You both play a lot of different compositions that there's only so much you can take out, right?
I mean, I just expect everything. they can do anything they want,
Perfect.
and it would be fine.
Well, we'll get on to that series now, but thanks again, Beetle. Nice to see you in the Team Heretics jersey, and good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you so much.